Okay, so this is the first ever live spreadsheet makeover. So what is a spreadsheet makeover? It's when I take someone's spreadsheet. It can be an Excel, it can be Google Sheets, Airtable, Grist, anywhere, and make it better. There's a YouTube channel that you where you can see these makeovers. If you haven't seen any of these and you're interested, I'll put the link in the chat. So the episodes are edited down from a couple of hours of footage of me fumbling around and building things to about 10 to 15 minutes in the final video. And the goal of the shorter video is to share one or two tips. But we've had viewers request a full makeover, unedited, the whole process. So that's what we're going to do today. And along the way, I'm going to share some tips and try to shape how you think about building things for other people in Grist. A bit of what Dimitri was saying. There's the creator who is building things in Grist, and you want to make things simple for the end user. So, for those of you who have watched some spreadsheet makeovers, you might remember episode 1 with Mark. We're going to redo Mark's. So, Mark is an Excel whiz and a sales rep who manages his sales and commission data in Excel. He discovered Grist and he was looking for a better way to track sales data. In a minute, I'm going to show you the Excel file that Mark shared with me. It all has dummy data, none of it's real. So, sample data, but it is his real structure. And we're going to figure out how it works and what we can do better in Grist. As we build this document together, we're going to think both like the builder and the end user, putting ourselves in both shoes. And one thing I like to say is we want to make this as easy as possible for whoever the end user is, which could be you, but also the next creator. So somebody else may one day inherit what you built and you want them to think fondly of you, tears in their eyes, overcome with gratitude because it just makes sense and it's beautiful. And that person could be you if you ever need to make any changes to the thing you built. A little bit what Dimitri was saying with comments. Um, Okay, so throughout this makeover, I will be asking questions about what comes next. Please respond in the chat. The questions are not rhetorical. I'd like to hear from you. In fact, here's my first question so we can practice questions and response. Have any of you watched any spreadsheet makeovers? And if you have, let me know what you think. Sherry has been a guest on a spreadsheet makeover. You can go watch her episode. Yep. Okay. Awesome. Not yet. That's great. You're going to see your first one today. Okay. There's a bit of an in joke. This is like a celebrity thing, so I like the jokes. Okay, so phase. We're gonna start with where I always start in every spreadsheet makeover, which is phases. This is my number one top secret to building a Grist document. Is think about it like you're building in layers. So the first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna break down the requirements. What are we trying to build? What are we trying to accomplish? Then we're going to plan it. We're going to write in here a table. We're going to say what are the tables that we need, what are the references, the formulas, the dashboards. Then we're actually going to start building in this order. We start at the structure level, tables, columns. Then we reference between them, formulas, dashboards, reporting, and so on. If you want to use this in your own building, I've seen some people recreate it in their own documents after they've watched spreadsheet makeovers, which makes me feel great. But here's a link. You can just take this table. So you can go ahead and make a copy of that if you want to use this. You don't have to do this for simple things. That's just one or two tables for yourself. But if you're building something a bit more complicated for someone else, this will make it easier for you. Okay, so let's do the breakdown. Let's see if I can change my screen share on Discord with no problems. Okay, so gonna. Can everyone see this Excel file? So this is what Mark sent over. So we're going to go through each of these 3 sheets and we're going to spend some time breaking down these requirements. And then we're going to go ahead and plan what we're going to build. So let's go sheet by sheet. So this first one, it's a sheet called sales. And here we have, as we're looking at this, it looks like every row is a sale. So we have an order number, the account that it was sold to. And what I do is I go through every column just to see is there any nuance here I need to pay attention to. So this is just data that's been entered, more data that's been entered. Once we get to this column, I see this little drop down. So this is pulling from a list somewhere. And we have a status that's also pulling from a list. Type, there's a type of product. Price is just a number. The GP is gross profit. And then here in commission, I see a formula up here that's real tiny. If I double click in here, we have a formula. It took me a while to figure out what this was doing when I first did the spreadsheet makeover, but I'll just explain it quickly so we can fit everything in the hour. What it's doing is it's based on the type, it's changing what the commission rate is, and then depending on the rep. If it's Mark himself, he gets the full commission. If there's any other name but Mark, he gets half. I'm going to pause here and say, are there any reactions to this formula? Can anyone foresee any issues with this formula? Questions are not rhetorical. So, mm. so, oh, I see someone's typing. So yeah, what could be wrong with, or what are some issues over time? It works. He's getting the number he wants, but what might happen? I'm going to wait for JB and Nalantiv. Nalantiv? Not dynamic with the name. Yep. But if all that matters is Mark, not Mark, maybe that's enough for Mark. Maybe, right? So we're going to try to make this to exactly what do you need. I think one of the problems is, uh, yeah, actually, that could be fun. Is have people request to speak for a moment. Although, Jet, you might need to manage that because I have a lot of screens open and a lot of overlapping windows. But so one of the things is we're hard coding these values in here, uh, which means if I ever change this in the future, I need to come into this formula, find where the correct one is. Like if all of a sudden the HW, exactly, what if commissions change? You have to come in here and change this formula. And two things are going to happen. Things might have changed moving forward. In other words, like maybe from today forward, a particular commission is 15% instead of 14, it's going to change everything historically, including sales in the past. So I'm not preserving historical data. So what I really want to do is I want to track commission based on product and based on time. You also need to fill down for all rows as well. Yeah. Um, exactly. So we want a better way to enter commission information. What I really want is a commission rates table where I want to say, here's a product, here are some particular dates where this commission rate is valid. So maybe in 2024 was 13%, but my boss changed it in 2025 to 15%. And then when I change it, I don't want it to go and change everything in 2024. There was a different rate for 2024 and a different rate for 2025. So this was like the biggest thing I think that I cleaned up for Mark. Then month closed. So instead of a sales date, he's doing it by month here. We'll see why in a different in the next sheet. Then just a date when the commission was paid. Any notes and index value we never got into. I still don't know what that is. Okay. In dashboard data, what we see here is a bit of reporting. What in Grist might be a summary table. So you have a month, how much closed that month. There's a running total here. I did do the running total in Grist, which I know people asked for Mark. I'm not going to do it today unless we have time at the end. We might not have time. If there's time, I do have a walkthrough on how to do it, but it's kind of a tight hour. So the running total is exactly what it looks like. So it's 5,000 until there's a new sale, then you add that amount. And then here, this upside is if what Mark had explained to me was in this status, if it's closed, that's just a closed sale is what he calls like upside. What he means is an agreement was signed, but it hasn't been delivered yet. So that money's coming, but it hasn't hit yet. So it's just kind of forecasting a little bit. And then there's a whole section here about commission bonuses and quotas that we're not going to do today, but I did do on that episode. So if you're curious, you can go watch that episode. Today, we're really going to focus on commission rates. And then lastly, here is lists. So all those drop down lists, product type, the statuses, the names of sales rep. This is where he's referencing them. If anyone has used Excel or Google Sheets, you're familiar with this, where you just kind of have a sheet for values somewhere. So that's what this is. Okay. So we've looked at this. Let's start planning. I'm going to switch back over to my Grist document. Okay, so here we are with the phases. We've done the breakdown, and now we're going to do some planning. So I'm going to do it in a table right in here. So I'm going to write on this same page. So instead of adding a new page, I'm going to add a widget to this page. I'm going to add a new table, and I'm going to call it planning. And what I want to do here is I actually use this same this flow in thinking about what I need to do, what I need to build. So what do I need to do? Has it been done? Oops, I want to put in the header. Has it been done? And then any notes, things I want to keep in mind as I'm building this. So the first thing I'm going to worry about is structure. What tables do I need? So one table, the obvious one is sales. We want to track sales. So that's a really obvious one. Let me do Dimitri's shortcut here. Look at that. Okay, table of sales. The What other tables might I need? For example, what about a table of products? So in Mark's example, he didn't have a drop down list. He was just typing in product's name. Is there a reason? Can anyone an argument for why we want a table or just enter it as text? So this is as a creator thinking ahead at potential pitfalls. We could just enter product names as text, but it means that every time you type in a product name with a typo or a little bit of space or an acronym, an abbreviation, that means that when I do reporting, when I start summarizing and I want to see how many sales per product or anything like that, that slight misspelling means I'm not going to group things correctly. So I want to have more control over the way that product names are entered so we can do that with the reference. So I want a table of products. We talked about wanting a table of commission rates, a place where we can store commission rate information and then look it up. Similarly, table of accounts, same as product. If I want to know the lifetime value of a customer, if I'm typing their name in differently every single time, then I'm not going to have good reporting. So anything you might want to report over, you might want to make sure that people aren't accidentally typing things in with typos or different spaces or acronyms. And then same thing, table of sales reps. Why not? And any other tables that we can think of. Let me make sure I'm not missing anything. Okay. And then for these tables, is there anything I need to keep in mind at the column level? So one of the things that Mark was doing was he had a product code that he had to choose from a drop down, but the product code is tied to a product. So we can just make that a column in the products table. Every product has a type, and we should just store it in that table instead of having to fill it in manually every time we make a sale and possibly making a mistake. You could choose the wrong drop down. So we just set it once, and then we have that information in Grist. You'll see what I mean when we build this. For the table of commission rates, I might just want to put a reminder for myself. For speed, I'm just copying and pasting a little bit of um, here's some text wrapping. So commission rates are going to vary by product. They need a start date and for when the commission rate starts, and they might change over time. Table of accounts and sales reps, pretty straightforward because I'm not storing too much any extra information here. So that's structure. Then relational. What are the references between these tables that I know I'm going to need? So for references, I know that every sale, that a sale references the product sold, the account it was sold to, the rep that might be sharing um, in the sale. And what about commission rate? Are we going to reference a commission rate? Are we going to look it up? I'm going to put here a question mark because I'm going to show you both. Because the answer is, well, there is like a better way to do it, but also you don't always have to do everything the most perfect way. It depends on your needs. Okay. Um, Next reference would be we know that each commission needs to reference a product. So commission rate references a product. Okay. Any other references? So you can see how I'm building. I'm starting at the data layer and I'm working my way up to something that is working. That okay. Then formulas and business logic. This is also probably where I spend a lot of my time, and it really does pay off later. So, in for formulas, in the sales table, we need to. I'm going to do the formulas to calculate the commission rate. I will show you, like, if you were to do it by a reference, the pitfalls, but again, in some cases, it might be fine. So, in the sales table, we need a formula that's going to calculate that commission rate based on the product and the close date of the sale. It should upload the correct rate based on that information. And the last thing is did anyone remember any other formulas? Anything else that needed to work for commissions when we did the breakdown? I see Sherry typing, so I'll give her a minute. The amount to give each rep, exactly. In the sales table, if there's another sales rep, then it gets divided by 2. So this is mostly for Mark to track his commission rate, but he needs to know when he's splitting it when somebody else um, uh, made the sale with him. Exactly. Okay. I think those are our major formulas. There might be, as we build, formulas is one where you're like, oh, it'd be nice to do this, it'd be nice to do this as you're building, and that's fine. What we really want here is like a blueprint. For workflows and dashboards, we want a simple way to do sales data entry. A table is fine because in this case, I'm building for Mark, and that's what Mark is used to. So a big thing that I say is don't think of the most perfect Grist document that does everything you want with all the automations and bells and whistles and a bunch of widgets. Think about what is solving your biggest pain point and what is your end user accustomed to, because then it'll be easier for them to adopt it. He's used to putting sales entry in a table. Let's leave it there. And I think the same thing for the sales commission. We need a place to enter commission rate data. A table is fine. Just a simple table where we can enter commission rate data. And then, so that's dashboards. So there's really two things he needs to do when he comes to this document: enter sales data, update commission rate data. Everything else should just work. The other thing about Excel, which someone in chat was saying, you need to like update the formula ranges. You need to add every single month to see what you closed or what or forecasting on sales. Exactly. We want reporting that just works. It just rolls it up as you enter sales data. When there's a new month, just a new month in the summary table. We don't want reporting that you need that as part of the normal workflow is a lot of tweaking. So if you have a workflow that requires the end user to either edit formulas, build tables or build columns, you're started. That's probably not the best structure. Those are structural changes, formulas, tables, and columns. It shouldn't be on the end user or part of your normal workflow. Shouldn't require changing any of that. It should just be ready to go. So for reporting, I kind of sometimes, honestly, people don't always know what's possible in Grist. So I'll just kind of make it up a little bit as I go along. But why don't we just have some summary tables that's going to give us sales by year, status, and type? We can also do sales over time, year, month by type, and something some of you may have seen in some of our tutorials or templates is charts that that dynamically update based on a value you click in another table. So if I click in 2024, the bar chart shows me the product sold or the type sold for 2024, and then when I click on 2025, it changes. I'll show you how to do that. Okay, so that's reporting. We don't need any access rules, and then testing, fixes, and formatting is just making sure everything works the way we want to. Okay, so that's planning. Planning is done. And now we just go in this order. We know what we want to do. So let's start building some tables. The first table we're going to start with is the sales table. It has a lot of columns. I don't want to sit here writing each column. What would be the fastest way to build this table? It exists somewhere else already. We're going to import it. Exactly. So, yep, import from file. So we're going to go ahead and import that table. And what Grist is going to do with this Excel file is every sheet is going to be broken out into a tab. So here's that sales table that we looked at. Here's the dashboard. And here are those lists. And we're going to make decisions about each of these. So the sales table, is it going to be a new table? Should we skip it, not import it, or add it to an existing table? In this case, we want a new table. For the dashboard, we're going to rebuild this in Grist using summary tables. So let's skip it. We don't need to import this. And then for lists, this isn't well-structured data. It's kind of just information. We're not going to use this in the final form of this document that we're building, but it is kind of nice to just copy and paste this whenever I need it for like choice lists or anything like that. So what I might do in some cases when I'm still in builder mode is I might just import it for now as a reference so I can copy and paste data and then delete it later when I don't need it anymore. So I'll just import it for now. Okay. Once I import a table, I like to go through every column and start making some decisions about, is it the right column type? Do I need to add anything else? Just so I have each table more or less in the shape that I need it. So I'm going to rename this table just sales. And I'm going to come through each column and look at the type because Grist is making a guess as to the column type. Also, you see how there's many blanks because this is the way things are in Excel. I'm just going to clean this up. This is all dummy data. I'm going to right click, filter by this value, select everything, delete, And now we have things the Gristy way, where every row is an actual record of a sale. And this is all dummy data. So that's a quick way to just get rid of all of the extra things that come in with an Excel import. And definitely do that, because when you're summarizing it, Grist thinks each one of those rows is a potential sale. So it might say you have hundreds of sales when you don't. You just have the three, right? Okay. So order number. Order number is numeric. What do you guys think? Should I leave it numeric or should I change it to something else? One of my hot tips. See someone typing, so I'll wait a bit. Yep. Someone's going to have alpha exactly. For IDs, for things that are identifiers, not numbers that you need to calculate. Like, for example, if you're calculating something over price, like a commission. For things that are IDs, you really want this to be text for a few reasons. One, eventually someone's going to have an alphanumeric order number or ID, but also sometimes there's leading zeros, like an ID might be 001, or think about zip codes that might start with 0, or postal codes. The numeric column is going to strip it of that. So for things that are really just IDs, you're better off making it text. Okay, because of my planning, what do I know about the account column? What column type should this be? Keeping an eye on time, I might just go a little faster on these. So for account, product, rep, we know we're going to build product, account, and rep tables, and that we want to reference them. They're not here yet for me to reference. So something I do when I'm not done with a column is I'll color code it. So as I'm building, I know to come back here. There's more I need to do with this column. It's not ready. That's fine. It's for a later stage. That way, when I'm clicking through and seeing where I'm at, I can quickly identify what needs more work. Okay, status. What column type should the status be? Here are my column types. Yep. We want it to be a drop down. One status at a time. You can't both be discarded and closed. Can you? No. Okay. We want a choice. Grist is going to take the values that it already sees here and suggest that. But this is why I imported this as a reference. I can just take this whole list, Control C or Command C to copy it. I'm going to come in here, select the whole thing with Control A, erase it, paste the new list so I know I have everything I need. That's why I brought this over, just as a reference for these kinds of things to move quickly. What about type? What column type should type be? This is product type. What could be a reference, but really it should be a reference lookup. So remember, we're going to store product type in the product table. The product table is going to have a product name and a type that we're going to look up, right? We don't want to store it here because it's not really a property of this. I mean, it's good to reference the sale, but the source of truth is the product. A product has an associated type. So once we have this reference, then we're going to look up that type. So I'm going to go ahead and color this because I'm not ready to do it. I need a reference. We're going to get to formulas and do that. So we're going to come back. Price, pretty straightforward. It's a number. Let's give it a dollar sign. We're talking money. Gross profit. This didn't really come up at all in my conversations with Mark or in the final build. I'm just going to go ahead and delete this. I don't need it. We're not doing much with it. Commission. It depends on the commission rate and the price. It's going to be a formula. So numeric is fine, maybe some dollar signs, but I'm not done. I got to come back here later and I got to make a formula. Here we have month closed. So one of the things that Mark was doing was just putting the month. So now I'm in creator mode. I'm trying to think of what are potential pitfalls with this. What if a commission rate that I'm going to start looking up changes mid-month? What I really want is a close date. I want to know when did the sale happen so that I know when which commission rate should apply. And then I want to calculate from it for reporting purposes the year or the month so that I can then say, okay, in this year, how many sales did I have? Or in this month, how many sales did I have? So what I really want is I want a close date. So I'm going to change this. It should be a date column. Chris is going to make some guesses here based on what it sees, but it doesn't matter. This is dummy data. So we have a close date, and I know I do want to calculate year and month for reporting purposes. So I'm just going to add a couple columns here that I'm going to come back to later when I'm ready to do that calculation. So for reporting purposes, I then want to summarize things by year and by month. We'll come back and do that later. So yeah, it is a very methodical, but it will help you. This is when the commission was paid. This didn't actually get used too much notes, and I still don't know what index value is, so goodbye forever. Okay, and notes should be text. Apply it, text wrap it, give it more room. Okay, so we've gone through all of the columns and sales. Let's build those other tables. And if you forget what those other tables are, you can just come in here, sales. The building a table is done. We still need to do references and formulas, but we've done the structural part of it. I mean, formulas is structural, don't worry. We have a process. So we need to add product, commission rates, accounts, and sales reps. So I'm going to add in a new page, a new table. It's going to be products. I want a product name. I want the type. And that's all I'm going to store in here for now. There's no other information that it was sold to store. Just get rid of any extra columns. What were the types? Here's that list that I'm using as a reference. Come back to the products table, paste that. Because there was no drop down for products, there's no product names in here. I'm just going to make some up, which I have handy dandy to copy paste for speed. Okay, so we have some products. Let's go ahead and do the account. So what is the account name? And I'm also going to go ahead and just copy some fake accounts. I do like that I can copy and paste from spreadsheets elsewhere right into Grist. Really nice. There's the sales reps. Gonna add a new table. I just want their name. A table here. And then the last one is the commission rates. So for commission rates, what did we need? We said we need to know what product it's tied to. That's going to be a reference column. I could do it right now because I have products, but I'm teaching, so we're going to go methodically step by step. We're not at the reference step yet. But when you're doing this yourself for obvious things, obviously you could jump around a little bit. Then we want a start date. When did it start? An end date is just kind of nice. I don't use this in my formula, but it's nice to know. And then the commission rate. Okay. And then the column types. So this is going to be a reference when I'm ready to do that. This is a date. This is a date. And then this is going to be numeric and set to percentage. So it just formats it as a percent. Okay. So let's go back to our planning. We have our table of products, commission rates, accounts, and sales reps. Structure is done. Okay. Now we're going to get relational. We want to start doing those references. And it's kind of easier for me to find them now because of the color coding that I did. Okay, so how do we create a reference column? It's a column type. It's a single reference, not a reference list, because each sale is sold to one person, probably. Let's not overcomplicate this, as far as I know, right? So that's what I mean by don't start thinking, could it be sold to more than one person and one sale? Wait for someone to tell you. Don't overcomplicate it just yet. It depends. So it's the account table. We want to show the name. The reason this is red is because those names aren't here, but this is all just dummy data, so I can just fill some stuff in, and that's fine. Product, same thing. I want to make a reference. Product, you probably can more than one product, but that wasn't what was here. These are big software sales. Must be nice. All right. So we have some, okay. And then reps. We're going to reference some sales reps. There's Mark here, and then there is no Jerry. Goodbye. Okay, so these, we don't need a formula. We just wanted to get to the reference stage. So then I remove the coloring. So when I come back here, I know they're done. This is a formula. I could do it now, but we're going to wait till we get to the formula section for teaching purposes. This is also a formula. One thing, we'll come back. Let's do the other one, come back. And these are also formulas. Everybody else is done. Products doesn't need a reference. Accounts doesn't need a reference. Sales doesn't. Commission rates does. So we're going to do the same thing. We're going to reference the products table and we're going to show the product name. So now we can choose from products. Okay. This is what I the part where then people might get confused. So what I want to pull in here is a commission rate from this table. So I should have a commission rate table, right? We're starting to think about that at this stage. I could put it here, but it might be nice to see what the actual rate is to verify that I'm pulling in the right one. So I might want to add a column here that's commission rate. But should I make this a formula? Or if it's a commission rate and I'm storing rates here, why can't I just do a reference? So this is where, as a builder, you need to start sort of thinking ahead and start making some choices. So I did make an example with a commission rate um, from reference where it's exactly that. What I did here is I just added a bit more information for a drop down menu using concatenation where I can see the product name and the range and what the rate is so that in the sales table, I can come down. Oh, I think I already have. Let me remove this. Um, so I can see all of my different rates and make the right one. But then you might start worrying, well, what if somebody selects for the wrong product? I already have the product information here. Why don't I just restrict this list to do that? Well, there is a way to do that in Grist. But then once you do that, for something like enterprise, then you're like, well, maybe it's supposed to restrict it by date. Once you get into that point where you're really restricting what you want someone to choose, you're probably better off using a formula. This formula in particular will be beastly, but it might be worth it, especially if you're working with a team and you're nervous about those kinds of errors. If it's just you, if Mark is the only person using this, which is his use case, he is both the creator and the end user, and he doesn't want to figure out the formula, this is fine. Like if he knows and it's just himself and he just has to watch out for himself, like there's nothing wrong with doing it this way. But when you're building for other people, maybe think about potential pitfalls. So that's why, oh, let me remove the colors here. So that's why if you're wanting to really restrict how somebody selects something at that point, you probably want a formula, not a reference. So this is going to be a formula. Okay, and these are also formulas. Phases. We made these references in the sales table to product account and rep. Commission rate, we just talked about why that maybe not a good idea. It would work, but maybe not wise. And commission rate reference products. But the other thing I want to say here is I'm showing you the way that I would build this. Everyone kind of has their own ways that they build things in Grist. Uh, and there's really no wrong way. You have a lot of choices. It's very flexible. So it's really about anticipating how this is going to be used and how to make it more streamlined. Okay, so we got relational. Let's do formulas and business logic. So in the sales table, you know what? I can read this or I can just go, I know all that's left is my browns. Like these. Okay. So we're going to start simple. We're going to start, well, simplish, with a reference lookup. What I want to do is based on the product that I have selected here, I want to look in the products table, find that product, and bring back this type. How do we do that? Does anyone know how to do that? Not rhetorical. It's typing, so I'll wait a bit. Chain reference, we call it a reference lookup or like dot notation, but what you're going to do in this case is in the same table is the reference column. So we're going to do a reference lookup where first you type in the name of the column that has that reference, and then you're going to look up the field name in that table that it's referencing. So that would be type, the column name, and that's going to pull that in as a formula. There are shortcuts to do this when you create a column, but it's really handy as a builder to understand this. Okay. Next is the commission rate formula. Okay, this is where I hope that copy and paste works. And the reason it might not is if I named a table or a column slightly different this time, it won't. Um, let's see. Let's see what happens. So this is a beastly formula. I'm not going to teach it right now because a few things. One, it's going to take forever. We only have an hour. Two, the AI bot is your friend. Discord is your friend. Google is your friend. You can get here. Uh, and you shouldn't be intimidated. I didn't know Python before I joined Grist. I'm not a developer. All the Python I know I learned because of Grist. And you can think of it a bit as if you're good in spreadsheets with spreadsheet functions, you weren't born with that knowledge. You learned that, you can learn this too. See, I changed the name on something. Do I want to find where I changed the name? Did I put a typo somewhere? This is just for sure that I changed the name on something. Do I want, is it a typo? Is it a start date? Let me just, oh, actually, let me just put some dummy data so it has something to look up. Let me just do that actually. I have a table of dummy data somewhere. Here it is. Nope. Yeah. I'm just gonna put this in and then that oh that's the other thing. With formulas, you do want dummy data. It makes it easier to troubleshoot anything. Oh, it's fine. That's all it was. It just wasn't finding any records. Okay. Okay. And I can make this numeric and okay. So what this is doing is it's looking up if it's a sale or close. So potential doesn't count. If it's a sale or close, what is my commission rate based on the close date? We're going to come over in here, look up the product, the close date. So if I make this closed, it does return a commission rate, but it doesn't for things that are potentially discarded. This formula is also in the spreadsheet makeover if you want to go look at that. Okay. But really, the AI bot should be able to do this. Promise. Okay, commission. The commission is just the price times the commission rate. So we're going to make this the formula. We're going to click on the columns that we want to pull in. So the price times this commission rate and hit enter. Okay. This top row is a type error. Why? I actually like teaching this. This was all calculated. Does anyone know why? And the reason I like teaching this is because you're going to see exactly there's no commission rate. Exactly. And that's because there shouldn't be a commission rate here. This is intentional. We know this. There's different ways you can hit type errors. They're kind of easy to resolve. Sometimes it's because a column type needs to change. Maybe this was text instead of numeric. In order to do this multiplication, you can't multiply text, but you can with a number. Sometimes it's because something is missing. Because again, it's anticipating a number. There's no number here. In this case, we know there isn't really anything wrong as the creator, but we know that if an end user sees this, they might freak out. You know not to freak out because I'm telling you, type errors are not that scary. So, one thing you can do in this case for very simple formulas, just for the end user, is you can use something called if error. By the way, when you see this drop down with the green sort of like function link, if you click that, it takes you to our support page with an anchor link to tell you how to use that function. So, what I can do is I can do an if error. So, what it does is calculate this formula. If it's going to return an error, do something else. Either give me some text or, in this case, just nothing, none, leave it blank. That way, we're not scaring the end user with type errors that really don't matter. Use if error only for very simple formulas where you're not too worried about not catching errors. I would never do it here because here this is complicated enough that I do want to see errors in case something is wrong that I didn't anticipate. But for something really simple, like just multiplying two columns and some type errors might show up, it's okay to just use if error to just help the end user. We're thinking about the end user. We don't want them to freak out. So I'm going to go ahead. That's done. Ish. As Sherry remembers, we need to know how to split things. We'll do that in a second. Actually, let's just do it now. Why not? The other thing was, well, this is only true if Mark isn't splitting something with someone else. We could have Mark fill in his name every single time, but why? It only matters when he splits something with someone else. So all I'm really going to do here is I'm going to say calculate the commission. That's just price times the commission rate, unless there's someone's name here. Or, okay, so I'm going to show you how to do this in one line. So I'm going to say do this if the rep column is empty. So if not, so that's how you do it in Python, not something. So if it's empty, otherwise, else, what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to copy and paste this exact same formula and just divide by 2. That's it. So now if I remove Claude's name, it doubles. And then part of the instructions, I just won't have Mark's name. I'll remove Mark's name. He doesn't have to fill himself in. This is who he's splitting with. Only put in someone's name when you're ready to split. And it doesn't matter whose name it is. It's 50-50 so long as someone is in here. Okay. And now we're going to calculate month and year from the close date. So there's so many ways to do this. But we're going to do this the way I kind of like to do it. That's a little bit easier. We're going to use a built-in function called month to pull the month from the close date. And I'm going to show you why this isn't enough. I want to kind of like build your thinking around this a little bit. I'm going to do the same thing here with year. Oops. Typo. All right. So this is just pulling the month and the year. What's nice is you might think, oh, wouldn't it be better if it was the word like January or February? The thing that's nice about numbers is when we come to reporting, it's easier to sort this. So if I sort this, it's well, there's a bit more around sorting, but I want to be able to sort numbers. I'll show you how to sort the month. But the thing is, this is ambiguous. Is this like if I change this to 2024, I don't see it in the month column. So like the month is really relevant in the context of the year. So what I really want to do is for the month column, what I like to do is have year hyphen month. So something like 2025 2, and then this one would be 2024 2. I like to do something like that. And then here, so let me show you 2025 12. So this is a text column. Does anyone know what's going to happen when I sort? I'm going to go a little quick, but when I sort this, because it's text, this isn't a great example actually. Let me do a 2025. Like it's missing a bunch of product information. I need to fill things in. But basically, what I want to do is I want to be able to sort this in the correct order. I'll show you when I have a bit more sample data how to do this. But let me just kind of undo that. So can I just do year, do what I just showed you, like year, close date? Oh. Can I ever do this without a typo? We'll never know. Close date. So what do you expect to happen when I add this? Does anyone know what's going to happen? It added it as numbers. We don't want to do that. Yeah, a natural sort. We're going to get to the natural sort when I have more data. So it's just adding it as numbers. I don't want to do that. Something you can do so in this case, I'm using this as labels. So I can just make these strings like text. So I can just come in here, make it a string. And then in Python, I can concatenate this so if I just add this, we'll see it's no longer going to add it. Now it's putting it next to each other, like 2025 2, 2025 12. I want to put something in the middle to just create a little space to make it easier to read. In quote for strings. And now I have what I need. And what I want to do with these is make it text. And then I can sort by these when I'm ready to do my reporting. And I'll be able to we'll see what people are saying in the chat about being a natural sort. Okay. There's so many ways to do this. There's so many ways. So people might have their own pet ways to do it. This is one that I find a little easy. But you can do string format time. There's all kinds of things. Exactly. Yeah, exactly. The other thing is if there is no close date, like it's going to say value error because it's waiting for a close date. So we can do the same thing here and put if errors around this whole thing. Because this is simple enough. I'm just concatenating some stuff where I can now actually give the end user information. I can say missing close date so that they know why. This will be useful in reporting as well. So we can see how to troubleshoot things. That's another way to use if error is if an error is showing up because something is missing somewhere, you can tell the end user what to do. I do like doing this so that people don't get scared. Missing date info. So you can just put the text in strings and then it will show up. Okay. Okay. So I think that's formulas. Am I done with formulas? I'm going to go around looking for some more brown. No. Okay. Formulas. I think we're done. Now we're ready to do some dashboards. So for dashboards, we just wanted a simple sales dashboard. So like Dimitri was saying, hide columns people don't need to see. So we'll just sort of go through what's a column that isn't that useful. All of this seems useful so far. Maybe the close date should be closer to the status, and maybe the type should be closer to product. So you can move things around because people are really looking at this from left to right. They want to fill in the product, see the right type, fill in a rep, right? So you might want to move some things around. And then this month and year is not that useful for data entry or the end user. So I might just go ahead and hide those columns. The other thing is, the other thing is we might color this. I normally do coloring at the end, but sometimes for something like this, where there's some formula columns and some data entry, I like to color the ones that should be data entry just to guide the eye. There is nothing this is purely just my preference. You can have your own preferences. So I might just do that for things that I need to fill in. Let me go ahead. You might have noticed I copied the hex because I wanted a lighter color. So just things that people should be filling in, I'll make that yellow. I don't need, do I need this anymore? Probably not. So I can just go ahead and remove this. It gives me the option to delete the data or keep the data and delete the page, which means it wouldn't show up on any page, but it would still be in raw data. I'm going to delete this. Data and page, I don't need that. Commission rates, this is just pretty straightforward. I don't think we need to do anything here. I like to move pages up as I move through them. And again, it's just convention. Product, accounts, sales reps. When we're coming to dashboarding, it could hang out here. Sometimes when there's a bigger table that is referencing these things, I like to nest it. So I might come in here and nest these things, but this is just like my preference. There's no particular reason to justify it. I just kind of like how neat this is, and I might set default to collapse. So by default, this is collapsed. I could open it, but I'm making the left side nice and tidy. So these are my two dashboards. I just come in here and enter sales, or I just come in here and enter commission rates. So, which is I think what I wanted. So I haven't been crossing off formulas, but simple sales data entry, simple commission data, workflows and dashboards done. And now we can do some reporting. So this is where we use summary tables. I don't know how comfortable people are with summary tables, or if you can link them. Sometimes people miss that. So I'm going to add a new page. What data do I want to summarize? What do I want to know more about? I want to know sales information summarized by maybe year, and status. The reason I'm going to do status, I'm going to filter out anything that's discarded, or that's potential. So I want to know by status, what did I actually close and what's just like upside signed, but not yet delivered. So here I can see some things that are missing date info, right? We just did that. Like if you didn't put a close date, I can filter out the things I don't need. So for year, for status, I only want closed and sale. Everything else I don't want. I can close that. And for year, it was only for the other ones. Okay. I can go back, but do I want these buttons? Do I want people to filter by status or year? Or just by status? Maybe not. So what this pin does is basically, do I want this button available to my end user to change the filter on this table, make it easy or not, like encourage it or not? In this case, maybe not. I just want to filter out anything that is not sale or closed. And then the next thing I might want to do is actually, as we're building data, as we're building reporting, we might want more data in this table to see if it's working correctly. So I'm going to go ahead and just import a bunch of dummy data that I have ready. You can use the bot to create dummy data. I do that a lot. So I'm going to delete all of this, and I'm just going to import from file, something that I already have ready. Oh, and this is also a good reminder of how to import to an existing table. So in this case, I do not want a new table. I want it to go to sales. I want my columns to be mapped. Order goes to order number, account goes to account. This one, the name was slightly different. It was called 50/50 split in my CSV. I want to map it to the rep. That wasn't in the source file. Okay, so I'm going to import this. So it's in my sales table now, so I can actually see a little bit better what's going on here. So I can now I want to filter out when it's missing date info. Okay, and maybe remove the spin. Also, this future values, you want to leave it checked for things like dates. So it means in 2026, it'll start writing 2026. I'm only filtering out missing date info. Okay, so now I know I can sort this by year. So I can see, okay, what did I close in 2024? What did I close in 2025? What might I close in 2025? This is my upside. And maybe now I want to break it down by type. So I can add another summary table to this page. I'm going to go a little slow here. So I want to summarize by year. I want to know for any particular year and any particular status, like closed or sale. I also want to break that down one step further into type. So year, and look what happens when I click status. Going to have a suggest that I can select. When you have the same group by columns in summary tables on the same page, you can use it to sort of drill down. So I'll show you what I mean. So I'm going to select that and then also type. I want to break it down one further. So what this means is when I click here into any one of these, when it matches the same year and status, 2024 and closed, now I can see the breakdown by type. So these 66 sales in 2024 that were closed. 14 of them for the HW product, 18 were for JJK, 18 were for LOP. The other thing that's happening with summary tables is it's just summing everything numeric. That may not always make sense. Like for commission rate, that's insane. That's not true because sum isn't what we want to do here. So every single, so the columns in the summary table that are not the group by columns, these columns are formulas and you can edit them and you can also add new ones. So I'm going to make this an average. That makes more sense. That's my average commission rate in those years. So sometimes do look through, maybe some doesn't make sense for some type of data. So you can go ahead and make that an average. And we can also see things like we can troubleshoot. For example, here, this is because it looks like it can't figure out the commission rate because what I can kind of, as the builder, tell is there's no product. There's a product missing. I can do the same if error thing to not freak out the end user and just tell them that if some information is missing here, that it's missing sales info. Oh, I definitely missed a thing. Oh, what am I missing here? Okay, missing sales info. Just kind of telling them what to do. What would be the easiest way to find this one record that's missing sales info to fix it? So if an end user comes here and they see this, what's the easiest way to fix it? It won't affect the calculation. So if error is just if there's an error, do something else. I don't know if you were here earlier for very kind of simple formulas where you're expecting some errors. It's nice to just tell the end user what to do. So here I'm expecting errors when somebody didn't put in enough information for me to be able to calculate the commission rate. You didn't fill in a product, you didn't fill in a close date. So I don't know what the commission rate is. So I'm just trying to tell the end user, go in and fill that sales info. So what I can do here is I can add the sales linked by that last summary table that's grouping by 3 columns. So I can see what that one record is. And then I can see, oh, it's missing that product. And I can say, oh, I forgot to put in the product. And then it gets fixed. Yeah. hmm And okay, you say really good advice about error. For more complicated formulas, don't use if error because it's going to do this for all types of errors. And you want to see some kinds of errors. So for something more complicated, you can just do it so here I'm saying if the close date is missing, or if the status, then say it's missing a close date. If the product is missing, then say missing product. There's other ways to do this in bigger formulas. Like part of why this formula is so large is it's not just a lookup. It's actually telling the user what's missing, but I'm not doing it using if errors in this case. Because in this case, I, as the builder, want to see some errors in case I miss something. Okay. We're really short on time, so I might leave this here. Oh, I'll do the dynamic chart. I won't do the bar chart. I'll just do the dynamic chart. So, because I know that's one that people like a lot. So I'm going to add a new page. I'm going to summarize my sales. I'm just going to do by year bluntly, just so we can just kind of click through the years here. I'll filter out when it's missing info, keep future values. So this keeps working for 2026. And what I want to do here to have a dynamic chart that updates is I'm going to now add to the same page. I want a chart. I want sales data. I want it linked based on that summary table. And then I'm going to go ahead and configure this chart. I'm going to make this a donut chart with a total in the middle. I want my label to be the type and price. So now, when I click on this, it's going to update. So that's how you do that dynamic one. It's the same kind of linking you would do in another page, just your widget type is now chart. So I know people see this in our tutorials and then they want to do it. We have a few minutes left. The last few things would be, so reporting, I'll call it done. You can always do more reporting. Access rules, we don't need any. For testing, the way I like to test things is one, put yourself in the shoes of an end user and how easy is it to fill things in. So I'm going to start just putting something in. And then what I like to do is I'm filling things in just to see if my reporting is working well is I'll put in an outrageously large number or something so I can just see it easily in my charts. I need a close date. Look, it's telling me. Yeah. Look, see? Useful for me too. Okay. And I want to do things like, is this is this going to get halved if I add somebody else? Yes, so that's working. And then I'm just going to go to my charts. So for 2025, I should be seeing a much bigger number. There's that 500,000 coming through. Here we can see this huge 500,000. That's this one product, right? So I do like just doing outrageous numbers during testing because it's easy to spot. And then anything that's kind of finicky, go back, like the commission rates, a complicated formula. Like maybe I'll just come back here and I'll say, okay, I have reliable hardware. Is it reliable hardware? It's twice. Which one of these? So maybe I'll actually just change. Yeah, reliable hardware has a different amount in 2025 versus 2024, so it should change. So it's 20% 2025, 18 2024. So I might just come back here and for reliable hardware, just make this 2024 and see if things are working as expected. So just go back, check your formulas, fix anything. So the testing is really just be the end user, see if everything is working the way you want, try to break it, miss things, put in some fixes. And the last thing is just formatting. Come in here, make it pretty, add some colors. So I might come in here and make this cute. Yeah. We all have different definitions of cute, but whatever you put in here totally works. And discarded. Whoops. There we go. So we have some colors. I also if errors seem to be showing up in red, it's showing up in red based on column type. That's a good thing to talk about. So like you see how in month here it's not in red? It's because I'm returning text in a text column. And here I'm returning text in a numeric column. So it's like that's not a number, but it doesn't matter. I'm just telling the end user what to do. The color difference is not a big deal. Yeah. Okay. And the other thing I do like to do is for the pages where people should be working the most, I'll add emojis. Like if this is where you should be doing your things or looking things up, I'll go ahead and add emojis because it just draws the eye. Or if you collapse this, makes it easier to like find what you need. And things that aren't that important, I don't. People are going to react to color and look at that. Yeah, I can paste the big formula in chat. Yes. Yeah. And I don't even know if this is the best way to do it. Like I said, I learned Python for Grist. You can too. A way to force type validation that doesn't allow the value instead of showing just red. I know people have done this with access rules and formulas. There is a way to do it. So like you can have a formula that's checking if it's the right type, and then if it's not, you don't let you have access rules to prevent that update. Yeah. Is this gonna paste correctly? That's the formula. Okay, it looks a little crazy. Maybe I should do this in like a code block or something. But that's the formula. I did want to show you guys, but I don't have time. But maybe I'll do this as like a sneaky extra at some point today, if Nick lets me, because he is the GristCon. Sorry. These rolling totals, where like maybe here by year, the first sale was 30, the second one's 40. I want a rolling total of 70. But then in 2025 it starts over. Like and then skip things that like aren't closed. You see how here it skipped it, didn't add this 20, but it did add this 30. Doing this is super cool. It's a bit advanced, and I have a breakdown of how to do it. I could do the speed run later, either during lunch or if people want to stay for like after hours. This thing ends at 3 Eastern. Maybe I'll do it because I already prepped for it, so I should do it. And because people do ask for this. Okay, we have a minute left. I need burning questions. I also accept the Spreadsheet Makeover subscriptions on YouTube. Very helpful. You're welcome. Yay. Okay, so I did a live spreadsheet makeover where I really just focused on like looking up commission rates. But in the original spreadsheet makeover, there was part of the requirements was
as sales are being made in a particular year, you start adding the total in order chronologically. So I have this table sorted by the close date because when your orders, your annual total hits a certain number, I think it was 480,000, so around here, at the 480,000 mark, once you go over it, then there was a 2% bonus in the commission. So you get your commission rate plus a 2% bonus. But that only happens every year once you hit your quota. So the quota for 2024 was 480,000. So what I needed was a way to calculate that running total. And then once I hit that number, return that bonus. So there's a little known feature on how to do this in Grist. I teach it to you very slowly. And what's nice about this is like I can sort this table in other ways. And what it's doing is it's looking up in records, ordering things by this close date. So it's not going to like break if I reorder things, if I sort things by a different column. So what we want to do is I'm going to do this like in steps. Let me switch over to how I had this prepped. So this is our goal. This is our check. We're going to make, is the formula working the way we want it to? And this is where we're going to work on our formula. So in our support site, there's a function reference where you can see support for different kinds of formulas. And there's a set called cumulative, which is next, previous, and rank. I don't think these are used that much. They're very powerful, but they can be a little tricky if you've never used them before, or tricky even if you have used them before. I often have to remind myself, wait, okay. So next finds the next record in a table according to an order specified by an order by like column. How are you ordering this? Previous is the one before. This is the one we're going to use now. So I want to know what was the price in a previous sale, and I'm going to add it to the price in this sale. And I'm going to keep doing that moving forward based on how something is ordered. And you can also rank. So returns the rank of the record in a table according to an order specified with order by. So we're going to be using previous. So you can always come back here and look at this for examples, but it's still nice to kind of walk through this slowly. So the very first thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to start pulling in that function, and I want to kind of build this sort of like bit by bit, and I want you to see things that might surprise you, because sometimes it kind of helps to understand the way that other things work in Grist. So you just put record, we're looking for that previous record, and we do need an order by column. So I'm going to order by, trying to remember actually the syntax. Okay, so I'm going to order this by, say, the date. And I think when it's just one, I shouldn't. So if I just do this, let me make this type any so we don't have it look all red yet. It's actually just telling me what was the previous. This is the record. It's returning a record for me. If you've ever done a reference lookup, you'll sometimes have seen this. We're saying in this table, this is that record number. So this is when I added these. That's the record ID when we're ordering by date. So just like when you're doing a lookup, I can then say, okay, then maybe give me the price. You know how you do the dot notation to pull in. So we're ordering and we can start checking if this is doing what we expect. So the previous record was the last date. There's that 30. There's the 40, 20. So it is doing that. But how do I now get it to add? Or what if I tried to do like the previous rolling total, like this same column, right? This is basically how I learn everything. Is if I'm new to a function and I want to learn it, the tip that I use is I just kind of don't try to build the last thing. Just kind of go bit by bit and see what happens. Be like, huh, well that kind of makes sense because I'm just saying the blank one before. So the very last step here, this is the part that took me a while to really remember. Is what I really want to do is I want to know what is that rolling total, and then just add it to the price in this row. It's giving me a type error because we're adding numbers. Oh yeah, I said this in Spreadsheet Makeover. I'm going to say it again. Type error shouldn't be scary. It tells you probably you need to change your type somewhere, or it's expecting a value and there is no value somewhere. So normally they're actually easy to fix, and when you're not scared of them anymore, you'll be great. I think most people on this call probably aren't nervous, but some new users are. So this is now getting us what we want to do. So it's a great question. I think because the rolling total was coming in blank, right? So the rolling total wasn't a 0. That's right? I don't know. Dimitri can correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe that's why. So we can now make this a little bit, what if we wanted to group things? Here we have some dates in 2024, some are in 2025. I have some hidden columns for this. So if we were to do this by year, we want to do rolling totals by year. I'm also going to add a little conditional styling here to make it easier just to look at this as we're learning. We have our 2024s and our 2025s. It should reset adding. So now we can group this by using the group by, ideally with no, and then the name of the column. So this should do it unless I mess something up. What did I mess up? Oh, I didn't put an equal sign. Okay. So now we have it by year. Yep. So that's now by year. And I'm going to take it up another notch just to show you how you can continue to group things and then put this same formula in slightly more complicated formulas by just building in complexity. What if we had a status where I only wanted to add what it's closed but skip for potential? So I want to group by status. So I care about everything that's closed, and another group is potential, which I don't care about too much. So now if in group by, I want to put this in parentheses, if I'm going to make a little list here. I also want to do this by status. So if I add, let me just go here without cutting out potential by status. Did I not? What did I do here? I'm always, got to close the parentheses. This is how I live my life. You're seeing the behind the scenes. So it is adding that. And then the last thing that I might want to do here is just for potential, leave it blank. So I can just say do this if the status is, let me just make sure I don't have a bunch of typos. Otherwise, blank. And it'll just skip that. And then if I change this to close, it'll add it. Otherwise, it will skip it. So this is how you can then start putting that into longer formulas that are doing things that are maybe what you need. So that was it. Just a 5-minute bonus segment. Does anyone have any questions? Oh, I had a secret also by status so we can compare. Yeah. And in general, when I'm building complicated formulas, I still kind of do this like bit by bit stuff just to make sure like I know when I'm introducing an error where I did that. This formula is not that complicated, but if you're doing some multi-lines, just kind of do things in little pieces. Okay. Any questions about this? If not, I think that's it. That's our first GristConf. Gotta DF.